Hello, welcome to my video. Today I'm gonna show you a game from 2011. I'm continuing this series on my games from the past. This is my fifth game from the same tournament. I had 4 losses, like you saw maybe in the previous videos. Now in this game I was black. I was playing against 2164 player, somewhat weaker than my previous opponents, and I hoped that my chances were bigger here, because my opponents were around 2300 or higher, and this was kind of the opponent which is similar to my strength. My opponent played d4. I was expecting some King's Indian. My prep was about 16 moves long. I think I never had such a deep prep, or even after. I usually don't have a big preparation before the game. I usually improvise and what happens happens, but this game I remember that I was preparing some pawn sacrifice with some initiative maybe and so on. And we had the King's Indian, like I said. In the database I saw that he's playing the same variation over and over again. I prepared for it and he went right into the line. Bishop e3 here. Usually it's played castle here, but it leads to some sharp lines. White can play the bayonet with b4, he can play Mar del Plata with knight d2, or knight e1. Knight e1 is Mar del Plata, and it leads to more sharp game. This line is more conservative and it's more flexible. The king stays in the center. The main move that makes most problems for white is to go for knight g4, being principled, and after bishop g5 to go f6, and now bishop h4. Here it was also possible to go for bishop c1. If I recall correctly, here I prepared f5, or was it maybe knight c6? Maybe even knight c6. I cannot really remember. But he went for bishop h4, I went g5, bishop g3, and I went back with the knight. Now he plays d5 and knight d7 here. And if white castles, then I think I don't have any problems. I can just push f5 and have a good position, have some counterplay on the king side. He went for h4, trying to destabilize my pawns here, especially the g pawn. And now I have to react quickly, because if I don't do anything here, he will open up the h-file and castle on the queen side and completely crush me. So I had to keep it blocked so far, not to open up the h-file. He went knight h2, which is the most principled, but it's better just to go to d2. Admit that you're not going to capture on g4, but you're playing more long term. With knight h2, white is getting into a very passive position to attack on g4, and now my pawn on g4 is lost. But what I prepped for the game is this, f5. Now I'm defending temporarily this pawn, but he takes it, knight takes, goes back into the game. He takes eventually this pawn on g4, but now I take on g3. I have a bishop pair advantage. And also white is lagging in development. He cannot castle right away. I am developed after knight c5. All my pieces are quite nice. Now white wants to castle on the king side, so he went for knight f2. I went for e4, trying to open up my bishop, and I'm even sacrificing the second pawn. It's not good to capture the pawn, because after capturing takes, rook e8 would happen, and after knight going back, or to g5 let's say, black has queen f6 and has a very powerful initiative here. The b2 pawn is also quite shaky. These pawns on the king side are quite vulnerable, and that's why white plays castle immediately. Now I need to defend the pawn with queen e7, and white goes knight g4. Probably not the luckiest choice. I took on g4, takes, and now I took on f1, takes, bishop d4, and after king h2, now I played a very nice move, bishop e5. I'm targeting the h4 pawn, which forced white to go to h3, avoiding this spin, and now I had the chance to wrap this, to almost have a winning position here. I played rook f8, but instead I should have played queen g7. What's the point of queen g7? The point of queen g7 is I'm threatening to play h5 on the next move. because of the X-ray on g3. If the bishop moves from the g file, queen g3 is checkmate. White has to play something like queen f5, and after rook f8, what to do now? If queen g5, you can take on c3, take, and I can exchange everything, basically. And this endgame looks very ugly for white. He has triple pawns on the g file. I have the e passed pawn, which is a very nice asset. It's not weak at the moment. My rook can get to the second rank. A nice outpost on c5 for the knight. My pawns on the queen side are not in any danger. So this endgame would be just perfect for me. And I want to show you another variation. If he went for queen e1, trying to defend g3 twice, now just rook f8. And again, what was the point of this move? The point is, if white plays something random like rook c1, I have h5, deflecting this bishop from defending the pawn, from covering the pawn, and after bishop h5 to go rook f1, deflecting the queen from defending g3. In best case, white is just losing a rook. This is a very nice combination, but I didn't see any of such motives during the game. I didn't see that. I went for more natural rook f8, trying to gain a tempo on the queen. I saw something else. I had something else in mind. Queen e2 was played by white, and here I could have played something like bishop c3 takes and queen f6, holding the f file, having almost equal position. I have the e pawn, but it's not the same as the previous line with hg. He still has a compact structure on the king side, so it's not the same with triple pawns and with this. This would be okay for me, but also white could not complain. What I did in the game was the following. I played, are you ready? I played bishop g3. I was so happy about this move. White has to capture it, and after queen e5, I was so happy. I have seen the attack going on for me, you know, everything was going on. And after I played queen e5, I realized I'm just blundering away this. I was hoping in my calculation, in my visualization, that after king h3, knight d3, I'm just winning. You cannot stop knight f2 and knight f4 at the same time. That's my reasoning. Like, you cannot stop two threats at the same time. And once I played queen e5 and he played king h3, I went like, oh, that. So after knight d3, he went g3. Like, okay, buddy, what you gonna do with this knight? And here I was just like, what the hell, man? What have you done with this beautiful prep, beautiful position? Now you can just cry. Sit and cry. I tried something for the rest of the game, but I played h5 here. I don't know what was I hoping for here. Maybe something like this. Bishop h5, rook f2, but even after that, I think you can just capture on e4 and crush me pretty easily. But okay. He went for bishop e6, which is the cleanest way possible. To conclude the game, I went king g7 and now rook f1. He doesn't even want to bother with capturing on h5, he just wants to exchange pieces off and to finish me off. I played queen d4, he took, king f8 and now king g2 back. I went for e3, trying something desperately, but after this check, he forced me to exchange queens, after which this was just over. After b3, I had it enough, and this was my 5th loss in a row. This is my personal worst, personal best or personal worst, however you like it. This is the most painful tournament in my life. This was the most painful tournament in my life. It was 4 games left. The point is that I was losing game after game and I felt less and less confident in my play. That concludes it. I had a beautiful prep until the move rook f8 came. Knight d3, and I think, aha, I'm winning a piece. But no, you're not. g3 and bye-bye. So that's it. I think this is my biggest blunder in classical chess ever. What can you do? Those things happen. You saw what happened in a certain match played recently. If super GMs are not immune to it, why would I be? That's just the part of the game and you just have to deal with it. Thank you so much for watching. I see you soon. Bye.